What's going on, guys? As you can see here, I have my son's Xbox in front of me. It no longer reads disc. There's some kind of problem in the drive. So what I went ahead and did is I just bought a replacement one off eBay for about $35. I'll leave links to everything in the description below. The screwdriver set has all kinds of bits. You specifically will need Torx 9 and 10 and a Phillips 00, I believe. And there may be a few others, but if you have a set like this, then it's all covered. Some kind of plastic pry tools. Commonly available. They're on eBay for a couple dollars. Alright, anyway, first thing you want to do is you want to remove this cover off the side. I found just sticking my fingers in this hole, it comes off pretty easy. Sometimes the clips are a little stubborn, but it comes out. Alright, and the next thing, there's this little triangle piece right here under this button. You just kind of slide that out. And right here on this, if you push this in, it undoes the clip. Kind of push in and pull apart at the same time. And I kind of keep my hand in here to keep it spread apart. And then I take my little tool. There's a clip right here. A clip and 3 clips above the vent, pretty much evenly spaced. And once you get that, the side will just come off. Just kind of wiggle the front out. You got to be careful though, because there is a ribbon cable right here on the inside. Right here. You undo the loop and just kind of pull it out. Pretty simple. It feels kind of flimsy whenever you're messing with these Xbox Ones, but they're not that fragile. I do suggest taking some care until you've done it a few times. I unfortunately have taken this one apart a few times. And on the back of the Xbox, where there's a void warranty sticker that sits right here. You need to remove that also, because it will hold the case together. Alright, and you just simply pull out this little cord here. Need to be kind of gentle with it. The Wi-Fi antenna cord, it just kind of snaps off that little gold button right there in the front. The gold colored button. Alright, you take a Torx. I believe this is a T9. And there is 9 case bolts, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9. You gotta take off the Wi-Fi card. So let's go ahead and start with that. Alright, as you get the 2 screws out of this guy, just pull it straight up. It takes a little bit of pressure to get it out of there. If you do it carefully but firmly, you're not going to break anything. You can see it clips in there. And it also reveals another bolt. Maybe it's 10 bolts. I don't know how many it is, but it's enough. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause this till I get all the screws out. Alright, after you get out all those really long bolts, then you take the 2 off this. The rest of those can stay because they hold this connector to the bottom of this panel. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is you're going to slightly lift up on this case and just pull it back just a little bit, just so you can get your hands down in here. See this little wiring harness? Move the camera in a little bit for you. This connector right here, just pull it straight up. Alright, and now this can be set aside. Just leave this connected just like that. Alright, when you get the drive out, all you have to do is unconnect these 2 wires here. And then lift it straight up. And then you got your drive out. You can pull these off, set them to the side. This little connector thing snaps off like that. Alright, next we got to open these up. Alright, and now that I have both drives sitting here, this is the new one, this is the old one. There's 4 screws, one in each corner, kind of to raise up this padding to get to the other screws. So there's one in each corner. I'm gonna go ahead and open those up and I'll come back with the ball open. Alright, so after you take out the screws, this is what you're left with. It kind of, looks like this. The cover just kind of comes off. Might be wise to mark which one came out of your Xbox, and it's this one. What I actually got to do is, since this is a new one, you got to undo this board, which is held in by a few screws and these two wires that are soldered here. So there is a little soldering involved. You take out the screws on both, you unsolder the wires, and switch them. So I'm gonna go get my soldering iron and heat that up, and then I'll be back. So to heat your soldering iron out and get it plugged in, I'd say give it a good 5 minutes to heat up. Pull out your phone, check the weather, do something else for a few minutes, and then come back. Alright, and so the first thing I'm going to do before I even remove any of the screws or anything is I'm going to go ahead and unsolder these wires. You just touch it and it'll get loose, and make sure you pull it away. Make sure you take note of which one was connected where. Red was on the inside and black was on the outside. You just touch the solder, heats up, melts out. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing with the other one now. It's always advisable to have a little extra solder on hand just in case there isn't enough to put them back. Alright, and then now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and remove the screws. Alright, the little ribbon cables, this little thing just flips up and they just flop out. I believe this one down here just kind of pulls out. Guess you want to kind of be careful with it so you don't tear it out. Yeah, that one just pulls out. Has a little flap also. And do the same thing to the other one. Three screws and 3 ribbon cables. Alright, so now we're going to put it back in the new one. If you installed this without changing the board, it will tell your Xbox will pop up a message telling you to send your Xbox back in for repairs. Ask me how I know. So yeah, I actually did this and just switched the drives out and put it back together. So that's the reason I had to take the Xbox apart a few times. And I've never done this professionally in any way. Thank God. Because I do suck at it. But this should get the job done. Alright, and what you're going to do is you're going to hold the wire to that pile of solder. Make sure you don't cross them. Once you get it in there, you're good. Alright, red one's attached. Do the same thing with the black one. The wires do get kind of toasty real quick when you're touching it with the soldering iron. God, that's hot. Well, I'm gonna let that cool down for a second and I'm gonna do it again. Perfect. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and close this back up, but just by, well, I gotta put the ribbon cables back and then I'm gonna close it up. Alright, now till you seat the ribbon cable, you just snap the little clip back down. This one you push in, and it also snaps back down. Okay. Same with the last little one over here. Alright, and just make sure everything's secure and it's in there properly so you don't have to pull it all the way back apart to do the same thing again. Then you want to get your case top. I'm going to go ahead and stick that back on and insert the screws in each of the four corners. Alright, once you have everything all screwed back together, you can go ahead and either toss this one, recycle it, save it, do whatever you want with it. Okay, then you're going to get the case back over here. Alright, and whenever you install this, these little nubs go down. So you take this little bracket and it snaps onto the bottom. And there's a little nub that goes through the hole of the drive. Alright, there's holes in the board that correspond with these so the case bolts can go down through. You want to go ahead and attach your wiring before you stick it in there. When you're attaching the wiring, it only goes in one way. It doesn't matter which end you use, but it'll only go one way. Alright. So like I said, there's holes on the board that show you where the posts go. Whenever you got it, it kind of snaps into place. Doesn't really snap into place, but it just kind of sits where it needs to be. Reattach your wiring. And the local shop wanted $135 to do that, plus the cost of the drive, whatever that would have been. And I'm sure they would have wanted to use a new one. Alright, you're at the top of your case again. Gonna set it about right here, and you gotta go in here and reclip in the wire. After that's clipped in, realign the top of the case, which is pretty easy because I put the foam tape around there. Holds it where it needs to be. And start putting the screws back. Alright, and the next thing you want to do is get your Torx bit back, because you're going to be putting back in all the really long screws. They seem to be they only go in the spots marked with a C. And as long as you got everything lined up, they'll go right in. If there's one that won't go in or something, you misaligned some of the holes. A cordless screwdriver would make this job much faster. Unfortunately, I don't have a cordless screwdriver. I have lots of drills, but I don't want to break anything, so I decided to do it by hand. Alright, these two bolts here are the ones that hold in the drive carriage, keep it from moving around. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to reconnect the Wi-Fi card. You want to push this into place. This is going to not make much sense. Softly but firmly. Like you got to kind of push on it, but you want to do it without breaking anything. If it doesn't want to go, you don't want to force it. And we're going to put the two screws back in there. Alright, and now we're going to reclip the cables from the little speaker back. Kind of wondered if I could leave that unplugged and I would just not hear the beeping anymore when I turn it on. It's always kind of annoyed me, but I don't know if it would function properly without it. Snap your little Wi-Fi card back on, and a little gold button right here. There's an audible click. It's a pretty firm connection. Alright, the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and take this front panel off the top. I found it much easier to put it back together this way. What I do is I just pull on three pieces at once, hold it back, and then continue down the line. And once that's off, it's much easier to align the frame. Snaps back together. Alright, and whenever you go to reattach the front panel and the little ribbon cable, you want to make sure this little piece is snapped forward so you can slide the ribbon cable in. This part has to go over the top, so it goes in like this. It's kind of a pain, and it's the part that takes me the longest. But that's for your power button, so it's pretty important. Alright, and once that's attached, line up the bottom. And the drive here, it has nubs across the front that go into the panel. So it's pretty important that you get that lined up properly, or you're going to be taking it back apart. And once you get these all lined up in the front here, and the bottom's all straight, make sure you get the bottom in first. These top things go in between these giant nubs. So you just kind of push it in, snaps back together, turn it to the side, take that little weird piece, slide it back in. It's one of those things you don't really want to force. Take a little side panel, put it back together, and then I'm going to go try it out. Alright guys, here comes the moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and start up the Xbox. Happy it powered on. So I'd say I probably didn't break anything on the inside. That's good. Alright, cool. So we're sitting here on the home screen, just booted up. I'm gonna go ahead and pop in a disc. We're actually gonna use a 360 disc. We're gonna use Call of Duty 2. He doesn't generally play this, but it'll be a good test disc. In case something bad went wrong. It's making sounds like it used to. The disc drive moving around. It's obviously working. It's telling me to update the game before I can play it. Alright, so that actually worked. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the section below. All the items used will be in the description. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, until next time, take it easy, and I'll see you around.